Day, lots to talk about this morning, so let's bring in the Federal Treasurer, Josh Frydenberg. Treasurer, good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael. Nice to be with you in wintry and wet Sydney.
Yes, I believe it's very wet indeed. We're heading down to Sydney tomorrow. Now, I want to talk about the seat of Hunter, the long-standing member, Joel Fitzgibbon, who's bowing out of politics this election. Had that near-death experience last time, a big swing against Labor. He nearly lost this seat. How confident is the coalition of picking up Hunter? It is a battleground seat whenever the election is held.
Well, again, that's one of the seats that we'll continue to focus on. We announced in the budget, as you know, 4 priority regional areas, Michael, for extensive economic development. Hunter was one of those. The Pilbara in Western Australia was another. Central and northern Queensland and the Burdekin was another. And of course, we're also investing in the Northern Territory in Middle Arm, proximity to Asia, great opportunities for energy and clean hydrogen development. So our focus is on the regional seats with some $21 billion of economic support being committed, whether it's in telecommunications, water, transport infrastructure, as well as more doctors and MRI machines for the regions. And at the same time focusing on our cities and the challenges that we face here recovering from COVID.
It's a big coal mining seat. As you well know, Treasurer, the Australian economy is transitioning from fossil fuels to renewable energy, and there are a lot of workers here still very deeply concerned as these power stations close, as these mines close. They hear these promises from government about them being transitioned into other jobs, but often those jobs don't transpire, and often those jobs don't pay nearly enough compared to what they're earning now. What can the government offer these workers in the coal mining sector?
Well, firstly, on the issue of jobs, as you know, I think that's been one of the highlights, the standouts of Australia's economic performance during the COVID pandemic, that unlike the 80s and the 90s where we saw unemployment rates at extended highs for a decade up after the initial recession, here in Australia, we've seen the unemployment rate get back to where it was within just a year, and now even lower still. And in the budget, I printed a number with a 3 in front of it for unemployment, which would be the first time in 50 years. So we have a strong labour market, and workers are moving between industries and jobs quite readily. We see great opportunities.
Yeah, but it's not that easy,
space.
though, is it, when it comes to coal mining? I mean, you say that, but it's in reality, it's not that easy for workers in coal mines and power stations to make that transition.
And that's why we're investing, for example, in clean hydrogen hubs right across regional areas, because we see great opportunities for jobs in this area. That's why we're investing in pumped hydro facilities across the country, not just Snowy 2.0, because again, they become the big batteries to smooth out the energy grid when you get more wind and solar, which is more intermittent power into our energy system. So we're heavily investing, whether it's microgrids, clean hydrogen, carbon capture and storage, large-scale solar or pumped hydro. We're investing in our regions with a view to creating more jobs in our energy system, even though it is transitioning from some of those fossil fuel-based power generating sources to more renewable sources.
Okay, just to another issue. The New South Wales Liberal Party has been in a bit of turmoil, it's fair to say, in recent weeks and months with captain's picks and court challenges internally to Liberal Party candidates. You're also the Deputy Leader of the Liberal Party, Josh Frydenberg. Do you look on from Victoria at the New South Wales Liberal Party and shake your head?
Well, it has been less than ideal, but I'm glad that it's heading to its conclusion and that we've secured new candidates for these seats. But I don't want you just to focus on the Liberal Party, Michael. This election is a choice between a coalition and between Liberals and Nationals and Labor and Greens. And the Labor Party was in the High Court just over a week ago, having their own federal Labor takeover
and
of the
Treasurer,
Victorian
when the Labor
Division
Party,
challenge.
when Anthony Albanese's on, we put these issues to him, which I have, but you're on.
Good.
We're talking about the Liberal Party. What do you think about what's going on in the New South Wales Liberal Party?
less than ideal, but I'm glad that now we are securing those candidates to contest the next election, because, as you say, there are seats there that not only we need to hold, but seats that we can actually win off the Labor Party. And later today I'll be heading to a couple of Sydney seats, as well as at speaking events here in Sydney as well. We've got our focus on Australia's economic future and, of course, our national security future, with significant announcements overnight from the AUKUS partnership with the United States and the United Kingdom, as well as our budget plan, which we're now explaining to the Australian people. More investments in small business, more investments in our regions, more investments in manufacturing and new technologies. So that's our economic plan for the future. That's what we laid out on budget night.
Treasurer, I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.